Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to today's video, where you and I are going to have a kind of a deep reflection on Galaxy of Heroes right now and talk about kind of a buzzy word I've been throwing around in a lot of my live streams. The most pivotal, most important teams that are going on in Galaxy of Heroes that are changing the way we play this game in 2023. We're already over half of the year in, already into that second part of the year, and I figured this is a good time to kind of sit down, pause, really reflect. We're not even going to talk about Galactic Legend teams. Yes, Galactic Legend teams are important, but these non-Galactic Legend teams that we're going to talk about, they're defining whether you're going to be snoozing or your opponent's going to be losing. We need to talk about this stuff. There are a couple teams that just transformed the way I played, as well as many other, kind of a couple, I guess it's kind of like a little pausing point. If you're looking for some teams to build up, to up your game, all these teams, I can promise you, are going to take you the distance and keep you ahead of wherever this game is going. And I guess we can get straight into it. We're going to talk about Zory Bliss and the Resistance. We have a lot of data I want to show you to kind of back up not just my gut instinct and personal experience, but also just the facts. Where are we in the game? And Zory Resistance is one of them, both 3v3 as well as 5v5. These are cornerstone teams that we started off the year in 2020 that really define this new generation that we're entering. This has been such a powerful year for lifting a variety of teams that have just been kind of to the wayside, going from snooze fest, zero to hero, with Zory enabling the Resistance crew to get tons of extra speed, a lot more exposed terminator terrain, massive amount of cleanse, tons of swarm attacks. This is a character I'm happy people eventually got the memo a few more months into 2023 because it's Resistance, because it's Zory. You know, it's not the most exciting combination, but performance and numbers don't lie. At low stars, this thing has been able to do massive amount of work with the Resistance, able to beat things like Jabba, and it's mostly used on defense. On defense, this team, let's go take a look at some of the stuff here. On defense in 5v5, 3v3, it's kind of gotten to the point. This is a team that I'm starting to kind of, iron out. I already got it under wraps, but I've accepted the point. And this year, I got to throw a huge team going up against Zory. It's a fact of life. For so long, I was trying to really cheese my way, underman it, trying to use some lesser used teams. You kind of need to come correct or don't come at all. When we look at this, Commander Luke Skywalker, 43% success rate. It's just nuts. We can cut out some of these things. Imperial Troopers, depending on how fast the other Zorys, if the other team's got a blazing fast Finn, good luck. You're not getting through it. So that's why if you're going to put Zory on defense, you got to make sure Imperial Troopers aren't going to get through it. So a fast Finn with that extra massive amount of speed there's more of us, she gives plus 35 extra speed. And the fact of the matter is sometimes you just can't get Moff Gideon or some folks over that speed threshold. People are making their fins blazing fast inside the game, where it's kind of come to the point, unless they kind of have lowish speeds, maybe you can get Imperial Troopers to get through. You're bringing in Dr. Ephra. You're bringing in Emperor Palpatine. Heck, even sometimes Trey could struggle a little bit. Tuskins, man, if you throw in Rose, good luck with the Tuskins. People throwing freaking Reva at them. Yeah, here's some lower wins percentage that we're getting. Some people throwing Galactic Legends, and it's not even 100%, which is nuts. You would think General Anakin Skywalker, no problem. 17% on General Anakin Skywalker. Zory and the Resistance have defined many wins for the people getting the advantage of them on defense, and it's also defined many losses for people trying to knock them down. I'm not going to say I've lost a couple Grand Runes over Resistance, but I have. You can just see the numbers here. This team is serious in 5v5 formats. Generally, what I do nowadays, I've just accepted I'm not going to diddle daddle with these guys. I usually just try to save Generate Revan, and because of another character we're going to talk about, it's been easier now more than ever to handle Resistance, because now you can split up the Jedi a lot better with Generate Revan. I wonder what Donald's talking about. Here's some 3v3 data we got to look at. So this is kind of what I do. Generate Revan's just kind of what I've bookmarked to go after Zory. I'm tired of losing grand arenas and battles and having to clean up Zorys. It's just really, I think, the best bang per buck transaction. Because look, Commander Luke Skywalker could struggle. Iden could struggle. Trey is not even a guaranteed win here. Imperial Troopers, good luck in a 3v3 format. It's just one of those things, man. The numbers don't lie. This is a crazy team that you just, again, a non-legendary team. Throw on a Zeta. You don't need the Omicron. The Omicron makes it better, of course. But really, when you're looking at all these numbers, these are not cheap teams. You got some Night Sisters stuff, which is not a horrible exchange, but there's better uses for Night Sisters out there. So at the end of the day, this is the team that I think everyone's finally at the same page. 8 months into the year, I'd say it took about 3 months for people to say, wow, holy cow, this team's nuts. Again, when these new characters come out, it takes a moment for the rest of the game to kind of adapt them. But the great thing is this is a low star viable character at the end of the day that people are going to utilize. It's going to be a staple, especially for grand array defense and offense. It's kind of like a new gen Imperial Trooper team in a very weird way. They have a massive Terminator train that they can start rolling. Speaking of Terminator train, I want to talk about the fourth most impactful non-galactic legend team. Again, my experience, my opinion, playing the game, and I'm sure eventually all these teams are going to trickle down to other areas of the game. So it's either you get ahead of it or you get behind on the ball when it happens. We're going to talk about Tuskins. Now, again, I'm focusing mostly on the PvP aspect. I'm not even considering the fact that the Crate Dragon raid's going away. And it is a bit sad that the Crate Dragon raid, and I still disagree with Siege's decision about going about their raids. I think they should keep the Crate Dragon around, keep people, giving that extra added reward and incentive for continuing to build up their Tuskins. But aside from the Crate Dragon raid, this team is going to be the ultimate call to anti-turn meter. Anytime there's turn meter coming, they're going to be the anti. They're almost as they're probably the most anti-turn meter thing in the game, aside from Jedi Master Killer being the god of turn meter control. No one gets turn meter. But the good thing is, with nomadic people and the Zeta that's on this, whenever you're getting that momentum, so the enemy team's getting constant turn meter, boom, momentum. And you know when you hit someone of 10 stacks momentum plus, they get stunned and tons of damage over time. This team, I think it's a lot better in 3v3 as we're going to check out the data, but on in general, defense, offense, this team has so much flexibility. It's still a little disappointing that CG's taking away one of the big value points of Crate Dragon, but that's not an excuse to just skip out on this team. Turn meter is always going to be an important element of this game, and some of these top tier teams that we're going to be talking about today, Tuskins are sometimes that counter to them, and that's why I think they're going to have a very fundamental place moving forward. But even now, kind of like Zory, let's look at a 3v3 for it, which they're really good. If you have the Tuskin Raider Omicron, you have one of the best 3v3 teams that exists out there. General Anakin Skywalker coming since anti-revive. Look, even Traya, 54% win rate, which kind of blows my mind. I think it just comes down to if the Tusken Raiders nuke your Nihilus turn one, you're screwed. I almost had that happen to me recently. Qui-Gon can struggle, Radis can struggle, people throwing Galactic, heck, even Star Killer. 27% win rates. These aren't great win rates by any stretch of the imagination. So it really just shows you how powerful these Tuskins are in defense, that you kind of need to bring some really top tier talent to get through this. It blows my mind to see CLS 3% win rate. Pretty nutty stuff. So kind of like Zory, you got to come correct. Don't come at all. There's only so many ways that you could feasibly handle Tuskins in 3-3. And again, throw on that Tusken Raider Omicron to really get the full benefit. You know, it's sad to say, Boba Fett Sign of Django's kind of the oddball out in 3v3. People like to use Tusken Chieftain with the Warrior and Raider. Not to say Boba Fett's bad, but the Raider prevents some massive cheese and easy counters to them. Looking at 5-5, I'm going to say they're not as amazing on defense at like their 3v3 stuff, but still, people bringing in some solid stuff. General Anakin Skywalker, Trays, if people using Trey on Tuskins, that could be a win. That's pulling away from other valuable areas of the game. Qui-Gon Jinn, as you see, there's not to say it's like super high, but you know, you got decent successes with Qui-Gon. I mean, this is 90, once you're above 90, it's a pretty solid like go-to counter. Then you got things like in the 80% of Radis, which is very feasible. So in 5v5, I tend to use Tuskins more on offense because there's going to be a variety of teams I just need to get through to have a lot of turn meter games. But the good news is it's anti-Wampa, anti-Imperial Trooper. When we're looking at defensive teams, yes, they're going to have counters, but at the end of the day, if you're putting something on defense, it can't be countered by Wampa and it can't be countered by Imperial Troopers, which is kind of the two top standards when we look at this. So Tuskins, number 4 most important team in the game right now, barring Crate Dragon Raid. Turn meter's always going to be around, and they're amazing on defense, and they have uses on offense as well. And they're going to be useful for some other stuff that we're going to be talking about in the game, such as Captain Rex. My, oh my. So the good news is this. People got the memo of Captain Rex right away. Sorry, people like, I sleep. Captain Rex, people are all over, and it makes sense. Captain Rex is just a much more beloved character than Zory, and the teams in general, we have more of a connection to emotionally than the Resistance, perhaps. Captain Rex, we got to talk with Matt. Truthfully, the debate that us philosophers here of Galaxy of Heroes, the biggest debate, truthfully, is who's the most important character? Was it Zory or Captain Rex of 2023? In terms of new releases, that's the ultimate debate, and it can really go either way. But my vote right now is I'm leaning more towards the camp of Captain Rex, and hear me out. So Captain Rex, what's this guy bringing? Gosh, he's fast. He's got him when he gets out there, he's applying tons of days that's going to end tenacity down and feeding so much turn meter through suppressing fire, or even just through his unique ability that he's sharing with the rest of the Phoenix. He's pumping so much turn meter, and it gives him flexibility to have a great team in 5v5 and a great team inside of 3v3. And it's just so much fun. The stat boost that he has in him. And then I was a bit torn about the Omicron, but I like that it's not just 5v5, because I hate that we're getting the 5v5 or 3v3 only. He's got something in a little bit of both that kind of revitalizes two different factions of the game that people love. Phoenix, a team that a lot of people have up and running, but just no use. Your Phoenix went from 0 to hero literally overnight. I can't imagine Galaxy of Heroes without Captain Rex. I just love the fact that he's a fan favorite character. We can take a look at some of the data. Let's take a look at 5v5. Starting us off here. So I purposely transitioned it this way. Although this team is absolutely amazing, the Tuskins are their ultimate counter. So that's something to keep in mind. And as I said, I use Tuskins on offense. Captain Rex doesn't scare me as much on defense. Tuskins near 100% win rate because of the massive turn meter gains that Captain Rex gets. It's pretty much easy, guaranteed, almost max banner win for the Tuskins. But when we look beyond the Tuskins, that's when things get really scary. So if you don't have Tuskins, which I recommend gearing up, Gas, all right, but that's kind of a big team. We're throwing the 5-0 first at him. Look at this, Imperial Troopers, basically not going to happen. It's not. Commander Luke Skywalker, 0%. Remember when I first got Captain Rex, y'all, and I used him at low gear? Yes, you can use Captain Rex at low gear. Very feasible. Maybe not as fast, but definitely very feasible. I just walked into a CLS match, and I was able to hit auto. Boom, win. Wampa, no chance. With Tenacity down and Daze, ain't no chance. And plus we have things like Dazes, for example, and stuns if you bring in Zeb. Look at the win rate's not great, so you got to watch out. One thing you got to know, you have to have the right team. I do not think Ezra is a good place for the Phoenix Squadron, especially on defense. He leaves way too much wiggle room open for things like Imperial Troopers to get through. The best team is kind of like we laid out here. In a 5v5 format, you got to use basically this: Hera, Captain Rex, Kanan, Zeb, Chopper. The lineup might change a bit if you're using him on offense. Like sometimes I like to use Sabine up against the Resistance team. If you're going beyond this in defense, you're opening yourself up to Imperial Troopers. So make sure you're putting the right team down so you avoid that. But again, when we just look at the rest of the stuff, Traya and Tuskins are really the best counters that we sort of have against them. And then of course, if someone skimps out on their Phoenix a little bit, it's going to leave some wiggle room open for Imperial Troopers to get through. But from my experience, if you have the right team, Troopers aren't really going to have a chance to get through. Fast Captain Rex he's getting tons of speed, remember, on this guy. Captain Rex, already a fast character as is. I mean, look, mine's at 351. And then when you add the fact he gets 25 speed just from the start of his unique ability, and then he gets another 25 speed, my Captain Rex is over 400. Imperial Troopers aren't getting around that. He's opening up, getting Daze, you're done, game over. So this is one of those characters, although very viable at low stars, at higher stars, you're going to be shutting down a lot of easy counters like the Imperial Troopers. But I want to talk about 3v3 as well. You've probably seen so many of my recent live streams. This isn't anything new. This might just be the new best non-legendary 3v3 team. Only downside is that it's pulling the young Captain Rex, 75, 67 Captain Rex, away from General Anakin Skywalker, which isn't the worst thing in the world. General Anakin Skywalker, again, when we look at a very end game analysis, he's not the most important thing out there. Yeah, he could do some stuff, but truthfully, I can promise you're gonna get more holds with this than General Anakin Skywalker. The numbers are backing that booty up. Let's go bring guys on over here so you can see this. So kind of like, we saw some other teams, you don't really have a lot of ways to getting through it. So we see some Qui-Gons getting through. Could be because of the insane datacrons that Qui-Gon has right now, but people are throwing Reva, General Anakin Skywalker, Starkiller. These are some big ticket items here. The astronaut, look at that, Traya, 38%. Like my hunch would have been, Traya would have been fine. The problem is Captain Rex just runs around too much, and eventually Captain Rex gets tons. The young Captain Rex gets tons of aerial advantage. Tuskins, they can kind of handle Captain Rex again. A lot of Terminator gains. Malik, people thought maybe Malik, so no way in heck with the tenacity down and stuns come from the old Captain Rex. Ain't gonna happen. Look at that. Dr. F for 14%, CLS 0%, Troopers 0%. There are not a lot of accessible ways of beating this team without bringing some top shelf items in. So this is another one of those teams. I don't even gotta convince you guys like Zory. You guys know, you guys love the character. You guys paid close attention. This is a character I'm just so happy turned out to be absolutely bangerific. Get on it as early as possible. I'm ecstatic to see that he's required for Galactic Legends Leia, which is one of the probably the best requirement for Leia thus far that we have in terms of the new marquee characters. And if you're jonesing to do some offensive stuff with the Phoenix crew, you definitely got some opportunities. Remember when we first got Rex? Almost immediately day one, we saw that there's a chance of beating Reva, and we see that 75%. you know, it's not horrible. You know, we got some 43%ers out there. Maybe there's some mod and team competition. Like, I don't know if I, you know, maybe you don't need Sabine. You know, it kind of depends what the lineup is you're bringing in. But they could do some stuff in offense that might be helpful. But right now, you're going to want to keep it on defense. It's one of the best defensive teams right now. It's going to get you holds. Literally, just the other day, I got like 6 defensive holds, and my opponent just could not get through the 3v3 Captain Rex lineup. So I'm just happy that this team turned out so well. It's probably my favorite character of the year, but we have to debate, is it Zory or is it going to be Captain Rex? Moving on, we're getting into the second most important team in the game right now, and it's unfortunately under the radar by CG, the Sisters of the Night, because of Marin. Marin, you know, it depends how you look at it. Marin, Sirjin are kind of debatable which is the best. Sirjin brings a whole non-existent team to life. Very great defensive team. Marin, though, she's opening up possibilities that just were never witnessed in the past for Night Sisters. It's really because of that Shadow Stride, being able to revive when she comes out of Magic Stealth. And on top of that, getting that Grand Arena Omicron to just get tons of plague into the team. It cripples a lot of stuff. Realistically, what has gone on with the addition of Marin is that the off meta is back to its full glory, I feel like. There was a point where you can beat every Galactic Legend without a Galactic Legend, and Night Sisters were a big key to that for me to unlock my full defensive and offensive potential. Being able to multi-shot Jabba is a big thing, because realistically, before Night Sisters, with the Marin came into the picture, you know, you kind of needed either a Galactic Legend or maybe Dr. F for Star Killer can get through, but even so, the Star Killer, Dr. F for win rates aren't the best. So this allowed us to get through Jabba, put a heavier defense, and get through with relative ease. However, we got to keep in mind, there is an active investigation on this, in case you missed it. We mentioned a while ago. Now, it's been a couple weeks. CG has not done anything, but they said they're performing exceptionally well against Jabba. And here's what they mean. So when we look at the Night Sisters, we got to kind of look at a few different aspects here. So this is actually a great, you know, conversation about mathematics. You know, so when someone sees 3% win rate against Jabba, oh, Jabba's amazing. People often confuse or correlate low win rates mean it's better. That's not always the case. This is something we also see with Lord Vader. People are like, oh, low win rate means, oh, the Lord Vader is amazing. Not quite the case. Actually, I think we have to, turn on the data crown real quick. Yeah, the data crown for Lord Vader is making this a little bit more complicated. Don't fall into that, making that equivocation. If low win rate equals, oh, Lord Vader or Jabba's amazing. That's not the case. You got to look a little bit beyond the numbers. When you look beyond the numbers and you kind of actually look at the data, the thing is here, if you're able to break apart Jabba the Hutt and just get him by himself, and bring it an easy cleanup, that is a massive win. Same thing of Lord Vader. Yeah, the data cron's pretty strong, but if you're able to get Lord Vader by himself, it's a very simple cleanup, and it saves you a Galactic Legend, whether you use a Galactic Legend somewhere else or bolster your defense, making the life of your opponent a lot more miserable. This has fundamentally changed how we go about Grand Arena, and I don't know how much longer it's gonna be sticking around. So how about we look at the other non-Jabba things out there? Although that is the number one use for Jabba, you gotta look on offense. Beating Grievous teams, you know, it just beats a variety of things like Commander Luke Skywalker, the Zory team, which is nice, some Inquisitor things out there. You got so many different teams you can beat, but realistically, what I suspect I will see if we get the Jabba thing nerfed, I can see myself putting Night Sisters on defense. We haven't seen a lot of Night Sister on defense because they're so good on offense for Jabba, and it's kind of a core component of the Grand Arena. Look at that. Imperial Troopers used to be the best counter for Sisters. They went from a near 100% to almost 10%. That is absolutely insane. Commander Luke Skywalker, 5%. Bounty Hunters, another pretty common counter, surviving a little bit more than Imperial Troopers, but a counter that was pretty good, 48%. Night Sisters, 62%. And there's the Tuskins. You know, again, I said Tuskins are going to show their face out. The damage over time really ruins Night Sisters. It makes it hard for them to revive. But people are bringing some pretty top shelf items. You know, you got yourself Star Killer that people are throwing. Master Luke. You're saying this as well as I am. 48% with a Galactic Legend that's utilizing Revan and Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker. Wow. Reva, 50% win rate that we're seeing. You know, it looks like this is Bounty Hunter lineup's doing okay. There might be something funky going on with that Night Sister team there. But overall, what I'm trying to get at here is that the Night Sisters are going to be a very powerful defensive tool that we're not 100% experienced because they're being used on offense. and that could very well change. And we have some 3v3 stuff as well. I don't know if I'm too crazy about them in 3v3. They seem to be a little bit more open to things like Wampa and some bounty hunter type of things. So, but in 5v5, I'm seeing use for them in offense, defensive perspectives. But again, at the end of the day, it's the Night Sister versus Java battle that has opened us up into a new era of off meta. And unfortunately, I think it might get shut down. Now we got to talk about the #1 team that has just, it's defined this new era that we're in Galaxy. It's one of the most important things that I played with and the most fun that I've truthfully had in some recent legendaries. That is going to be Jedi Knight Calcastas. Now, let me emphasize again, we're not talking about like the best team of all time. You know, those we go to some Galactic Legends, you know, Star Killer and stuff like that. But this team has been probably the most impactful for me this year, primarily on offense versus Darth Malgus. We mentioned a moment ago how Jabba the Hutt was kind of an issue because you basically needed a Galactic Legend, which means you couldn't put a Galactic Legend on defense, which means you couldn't use a Galactic Legend. You'd rather use it against maybe another Galactic Legend or another type of team. Calcastas is doing what I know people are not going to like to hear, but the era of Malgus will be dwindling and going away. When Calcastas gets more heavily adopted, I'm assuming he's going to return back in September, October, and it's only going to get more and more. This is going to be a character that's going to end the reign of Malgus. And I was having a discussion today. I don't know what I want to use for Malgus. On defense, he's basically giving near free wins. And these are people throwing in some more heavy teams. For me, all I need is Basilisk Jean. All I need is Cal, and I'm good. I am dunking on Malgus. It's just insane what Calcastas has brought to the table, saving you. Before in 3v3, you kind of almost needed a Galactic Legend to handle Malgus. In 5v5, maybe General Anakin Skywalker can get through, but still, very difficult, very dirty counter. This Calcastas allowed me to put yet another Galactic Legend back on defense, whether that's Sith Eternal, sometimes Spirit of Kylo Ren, Jedi Master Luke. I no longer need a GL. I'm getting max banners, and I hate to say, because Malgus had such a stronghold on Grand Arena defense for the longest time, and just literally the introduction of Calcastas kind of, I don't want to, obsolete might be a harsh word. If you don't have Jedi Knight Cal, you're going to be stuck in that predicament, but Jedi Knight Cal, I do suspect, because he's so much fun, so important for territory battles, used in so many lines like Jedi Master Luke, Jedi Knight Luke, Bastila, Jedi Knight Revan. There are so many lineups, he literally elevates them to a whole new level. He's kind of what I wish Jedi Knight Luke was. Jedi Knight Luke, my hot take is that he's all right, but I don't think he's nearly as impactful. Like, I can imagine Galaxy Heroes without Jedi Knight Luke. I can't imagine playing Galaxy Heroes right now without Jedi Knight Calcastas. And here's some other things in 5v5 that people like to utilize here again. You know, Darth Malgus is kind of trivial at this point. It's not that difficult to handle. Now, the caveat here, unlike many of the other teams we talk about, I would probably say out of all the characters, this is probably the worst out of the 5 that we're talking about. In regards to defense, he doesn't really know how to use this kit. It's a very complicated kit. I feel like maybe this is designed purposely to make it complicated for it to work on defense. I haven't really seen anything material. I've seen him with Jedi Knight Revan. I've seen him with Jedi Master Luke and Jedi Knight Luke. I haven't quite seen the impact of him on defense. So he's very much so an offense-heavy tool that people are utilizing. And here you go. You can see some things that people are using it on defense. You know, I'd probably pass with putting it on defense. On offense, though, being able to just shut down Malgus and turn what used to be basically a Galactic Legend on defense into what feels like, I don't blink anymore. I was like, okay, Malgus, let me get my max banners and move on. It's a tough pill to swallow where Malgus's future is going to be. But we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see how those Jedi Knight Calcastas adoption rates are going to be looking like. Ladies and gentlemen, that's basically what I truthfully believe where the current landscape of the game is, where we are so far, already past the halfway point of 2023, getting to this last quarter of 2023. These are truthfully the 5 most impactful teams that have changed the way I've played, whether offense, defense, trying to counter a variety of these teams. These teams, I can't imagine the game being the same without them. So a lot of these teams, I recommend you guys get on. Knights might be a bit questionable, but Jedi Knight Calcastas with Malgus kind of being popular, he's going to have a popular use, and he's great against other Galactic Legends, as we saw. It really helps Master Luke versus Lord Vader, Jedi Master Kenobi. Captain Rex, please, guys. I don't need to convince you guys. Captain Rex is absolutely amazing, and I would love to hear your thoughts, man. This would be a great poll to open up. Who's the better character of 2023? Is it Zory? Is it Captain Rex? I don't know. Maybe not as amazing as you guys, though. So thank you so much for coming out. My gosh, absolutely fun seeing these things. This might be one of my favorite years. Some of the most unique characters coming out that are really changing things to a whole other level. Leave that like, comment down below, share those thoughts on where you think we are right now in Galaxy of Heroes, and what are the teams you're trying to build up. Everyone should work on these teams in one way or another. But until we meet again, my friends, please always remember, I love having you guys here because it always makes me want to say, oh, how it's great to be in the Empire today.
It's great to be in the Empire.